You know, it's hard to believe that it's been just about 2 years with Mocha, our 2009 Toyota RAV4 V6, and since then, the prices of them have only gone up from when we got this. It really seems to me like these higher output Toyotas like the V8 4Runner, the V6 RAV4, and frankly any Toyota SUV with this 3.5 liter V6 is made out of gold. But I want to talk about if after 2 years, the V6 RAV4 is still worth it. So for those that don't know, this is Mocha, my mom's 2009 Toyota RAV4 limited V6 in pyrite mica. It's actually turned into being one of my favorite colors for these RAV4s. And 2 years ago when we picked up Mocha, we got her just under $10,000, and these seem to be about the same price, but I've seen some lower mileage V6 RAV4s going for $20,000, just like the Avalons, the V8 4Runners of this same era. It's insane. So I already knew getting into this because this is my mom's car. This isn't a car that I'll be able to really touch too much, but thankfully I was able to add a few little things to make it more my mom's car. From the last video, you'll probably first notice that I finally painted the wheels gunmetal. I've been wanting to do this since we got the car because the stock finish was just completely peeling off, just like all other Toyotas from this era. We also put slightly bigger tires on this. These are now 235/65 R17, so slightly bigger, and it rides a little bit better as well. There does seem to be a little bit more clearance with the spring perch, so it seems like you could stuff a little bit bigger of a tire, but not by much. One of the things that I have thought about replacing is the headlights, because 2 years ago when we first got Mocha, I made a video that didn't turn out well, but I sanded and polished the headlights, but they were already pretty far gone to begin with, so I think in the future I'd like to get new units, but I'm not sure if I want to go with those $130 projectors that I see on eBay, because right now there's LEDs in it, so maybe that might look a little bit better. If you guys have any of these, let me know what headlights that you like in the comments below. Besides that, I have no problem with how the car looks. This is actually one of my favorite looking generations of RAV4, so that's already off to a good start. But my mom likes the car too. And of course, it's always a perk when the person that's driving the car enjoys the car. But also, I enjoyed the car for another reason, and this is why a lot of people go for the V6 RAV4. This is the 2GR FE under this hard steel hood, but it's a 3.5 liter V6. You can find this engine in so many Toyotas of this era, but this engine made the RAV4 the fastest production Toyota from 2006 to about 2012, before the FRS came out. Because if you think about it, there was no Supra, and this thing being about 3,400 or 3,500 pounds and making 269 horsepower and 264 pound-feet of torque, pretty healthy numbers. These use a 5-speed automatic transmission, another bulletproof piece of the powertrain that just makes these such an excellent car all in all. Fuel economy certainly is a compromise for all the power that you get compared to the 2.5 4-cylinder, because in this around town we've been seeing about 17, 18, and on the highway I've seen up to 22 or 23 mpg. 0 to 60 for these was just about 6.5 seconds, which made the main competitor for a V6 RAV4 back in the day the Subaru Forester XT. I almost called it the Crosstrek, but the old Forester XT. Those were pretty cool. Some of those you could get a manual. These were auto only. In terms of reliability and maintenance, these RAV4s are so easy. First of all, oil change took me less than 20 minutes because the filter and the drain plug are right next to each other. That's perfect. But these 3.5 RAV4s, especially in the later years, are known to be pretty solid. Now, as many may know, these RAV4s are extremely practical and extremely capable of hauling many things. The only thing that I wish that these had is an opening rear window. That'd just be a little bit useful for people like me, but my mom doesn't need something like that. But the trunk of these is pretty big, and you'd also be surprised to know some of these could get a third row seat as an option. I can't imagine how small that would be. But back here, it's pretty decent. There's about 36 cubic feet of volume with the second row seat up, and when you fold that down, you can get up to 74 cubic feet of volume. Also, because this one does not have the sport appearance package, the spare tire is on the back. The ones that don't have a spare tire have run flat tires, but all of them have this handy dandy little storage compartment underneath the floor, which is actually pretty deep, and you can store the cargo net and the tonneau cover. But step-in height is pretty nice. Wow, actually I've not sat in the back of this car in a while. I'm 5'9". The passenger seat is in the position that I would be sitting in, and I have so much room. Headroom is great because this thing is like a little box. Legroom is great. I can fit my feet under the seat. I think 3 of me could fit back here. Definitely child seats. There's no rear air vents. There's only a power outlet, so you could plug in your phone at least. This middle seat also doubles as a center armrest with 2 cup holders that are decently sized, and the armrest itself is pretty comfortable, but the second row seat is a 60-40 split folding. Now, if you have a keen ear as you get in and out of this, you'll notice that this era of RAV4, the 3rd gen RAV4, is known to be the tin can era, only to me, and well, others I know, but only to me because of this. Just the way how you close, the way how the door sounds when you close it sounds a little bit tinny, but that's the only complaint. But as we get inside, step-in height, just like the rear, is super easy. These cars are so great. If you're looking at one of these as your first car or just like a daily, this is great. Even I'd consider one of these if my mom didn't have one. This isn't a full review, but this interior is pretty simple. 3-spoke leather wrapped steering wheel with audio and Bluetooth controls. There's a bit of a display on the gauges, but just shows mileage and temperature. In the center, this has the upgraded JBL head unit. It sounds actually pretty good, but I'd like to replace the head unit with something with Apple CarPlay. The dual zone climate control is still pretty easy to use, even for me that I don't really hop in this car that often, mostly my mom. Still very easy to get used to. The only thing I could say about the seats in these is that on longer trips, they're not that soft, so they're a little bit hard for my back. The driver's seat is 8-way power with 2-way lumbar, but the passenger seat is only manual. First of all, look at this guy in the Honda Fit. He's an asshole because he keeps driving in my shot. I'm going to, like, that's an Easter egg in every video, but yeah, I'm driving my mom's car right now. I like driving this thing. It's very enjoyable to drive, and over the past 2 years, I've definitely had enough seat time with it to come up with things that I like and don't like about it. Let's get on the power, actually. It accelerates so well for being such a normal crossover. It's actually kind of fun to drive. But the first thing that I wanted to talk about, as we've already set off, is the lack of auto door locks. I've tried to look through RAV4 forums and such about if these have auto door locks. Like this quick. It's quick. This isn't much of a handler, especially the way how it's set up now with these taller tires. You know, it's more for comfort. But yeah, these don't have auto door locks, and that doesn't necessarily bother me because it's not hard to just go and lock your cars, you know, if you're just out and about or out in the hood. But, you know, for people that don't do it, I could be driving with the doors unlocked and someone can just open the door. You know, I don't like that. I tried to look through the owner's manual and I still can't find anything about auto door locks in a 3rd gen RAV4, so I think these just don't have that feature, which is surprising to me. But aside from that, the driving experience is pretty pleasant. These do have a little bit more road noise than the typical, you know, Lexus SUV, or even if you're coming from a Highlander or a Pilot, something a little bit more dense, but this still feels pretty nice. The ride is pretty compliant. This road is pretty smooth, but the power is the most fun experience of this car. The steering is pretty sharp, and I can't say that it handles great, but it doesn't handle bad. This just feels like, you know, a crossover when you start throwing it in corners. Like, the tires will squeal, there's some body roll, but I'm sure if you put sway bars on the, like if you wanted to do something like that, have like a V6 powered Toyota hatchback, you could lower this and put springs on, like sway bars on it, and take off. I bet you this is the hardest this car has been driven in a while. But this car is quick, 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. Very impressive. The 2GR is smooth, it's quieter than the 2.5, much more refined. It is such a good engine in this car. It really turns this car from, you know, being a normal RAV4 to being, I would never say a Lexus, but it makes it more refined, kind of almost Lexus-like, but you know, the noise, like there's not a lot, well, there is some wind noise on the highway, but it's more road noise. So as one that doesn't drive this that often, I dare say that the throttle is touchy, but if I got used to this and if I drove it every day, I'd probably say that it was nicely responsive, because most of the time I drive this, I like the response. It's only when, like, let's now, you're just not used to the little thrust, you know, but they're fun to drive. They're so easy to whip around. I love driving this thing. Thankfully, I don't really have many things to report on this. I just have, you know, normal maintenance to do, but we've not really had any check engine lights, knock on wood. We've had a TPMS light, but that was because of the sensor for the spare tire. So if you have a TPMS light that you cannot figure out, there's a fly in here. But if you have a TPMS light that you cannot figure out, check your spare tire. This goes for anything. Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay, it got out. So I know out of a lot of the cars on my channel, this happens to be one of the most popular ones. So again, I apologize for taking so long. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Let me know in the comments if you have a 3rd gen RAV4, and let me know how you've liked it, if you had it since new. That'd be cool having one since new, I would think, especially a V6 one. But before I, you know, get derailed, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, peeps.